Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Omaima Abou Bakr. I'm a professor of comparative literature at Cairo University, and I'm a researcher interested in Muslim women's history and achievements, and I'm a khateebah at the Women's Mosque of America. Today's Muslimah that we're going to talk about is Fatima, daughter of Kamal al-Din Mahmoud, who was born in 1451 in Cairo, in 15th century Cairo, and she was a muhadditha. That's her title, meaning that she was a religious scholar, a sheikha, who specialized in hadith scholarship, in teaching the hadith and its canonical collections to men and women. Several interesting facts about Sheikha Fatima. Number one, she used to be praised a great deal by the historians who documented her life and her activities and her achievements in the sources. She used to be praised for the power of her mind, her intellect, and her knowledge and her learning, which is very interesting. These are the exact phrases used by the historians to describe her capacities and her power of learning, of being a good scholar and a good teacher to the men and women. She used to be praised for the steadfastness of her heart and her piety in the face of life's calamities and difficulties. And the reason this is mentioned, because this was the time of the plague in Egypt in 15th century. And she lost two of her daughters, I think. Like everyone else, people were losing relatives all the time. So it was a difficult time for people. She was also praised for her literary skills. She was a poet. Very interesting for her to be a religious scholar specializing in the science of hadith and to be a poet. And we have a record of many lines and verses of her poems that are recorded in the books of history. So she combined both religious knowledge and being a woman of letters, so to speak, right? A woman of literary talent. Another fact, she exchanged correspondences, letters back and forth between her and her major historian who recorded her life in full and who had books of history about her and about other women scholars like her, Shams al-Din al-Sakhawi. And he recorded for us the kinds of letters back and forth between them, discussing issues of faith, of patience, of steadfastness, and religious discussions as well, because they were both specialists in the same field. He was a historian and he was a muhaddith. He was also a hadith scholar as well. So she developed this sort of scholarly camaraderie with Shams al-Din al-Sakhawi. And there was an instance when she was consoling him for the loss of his brother in the plague, and he was consoling her for the loss of the two daughters. Both were going through this difficult time and remembering together different hadiths by the Prophet ﷺ, about the importance of forbearance and patience and enduring the calamities of life. Very interesting. And she also apparently had contacts with other male scholars also of her circle, and participated in literary debates about poetry, about the poetry that she would write, or poetry that others also would write and exchange with her. So that's really interesting, I thought. And that's why I chose her to talk about her this Ramadan and to reflect and on her history and on this kind of representation, because I remember when I first came across her in the sources, I was surprised myself And I was impressed by how historians and contemporary scholars were impressed by her capacities, by her learning, by her knowledge, by her mind, as we said, and by her literary capacities. I also thought how inspiring it is that she gives us this image of a balanced life, right? Of a practicing Muslimah, of a learned scholar, of a professional woman teaching. You know, she was a teacher. She was like a university professor, teaching at the level of advanced learning, the hadith. And then a literary figure who would enjoy good poetry and would enjoy literary criticism almost in literary discussions with her peers and with other figures. And she was very confident, obviously, to be part of that community, to be part of that society. She wasn't withdrawn or secluded, but she was an active part of her milieu. I think the important lesson for us in the present, like even if it's 5, 6 centuries later, to reflect upon, is that we should always seek knowledge and learning, right? Strive for excellence, and be an active part of our communities. If we can benefit people with that learning, with that knowledge, with that intellectual knowledge, we should continue to do that as much as God subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates for us to do. So we can end then with the prayer that her life or her biography makes us think about. We can end with a dua to say that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assist us in our life's endeavors and in our spiritual endeavors as well. May God subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate to us or help us or assist us in living this kind of a wholesome, balanced life where we can enjoy the good things, enjoy knowledge and benefit others and be part of a larger community of Muslims, men and women. Inshallah. So thank you.